So I am excited about tonight's team call because I'm going to be sharing with you guys the leadership training that I got at Summit a few weeks ago. So Beachbody's annual Summit conference that was in New Orleans. I qualified for their leadership part of the conference, which was hitting 2-star by a certain time. And we were all blessed to hear from Brendon Bruchard, and then he gave the leaders of us another conversation, another talk, and it was about the 6 habits of high performance, and high performance people, and what they're doing, and how they're finding success. And I, just going through, I made some slides for you guys, so you're definitely going to want a notebook and pen for this call. And we'll do a couple different activities in there, and for ourselves to kind of just see where we're at. And it was really great because I was there, a few weeks ago for this, and it's just a really great reminder to kind of look at our actions and I guess self-reflect and sort of grade ourselves on where we're at, and to be able to find the areas that we might be a little weaker in or we might be stronger in. But I'm gonna hop right in it and go ahead and share with you guys my screen. And we'll open up so I can open this up to full screen, and let me see what that looks like if I do full screen. I just don't want to lose your guys' spaces because I like to interact with you guys. Let me see view. If I go to, where does view say? Enter full screen. Yeah, so I'm gonna lose you guys, but you guys can just unmute yourself if you have a question at any point, and then I will just go out of full screen so I can interact with you guys. So this is the 6 habits of high performance, and I'm just going to kind of read through these and then bring up anything that I can recall. But achievement isn't the problem, alignment is. And I really liked this, and he focused a lot. And when I use quotes for my, it's, obviously you guys are supposed to say it as my or you, so what's my thing and who am I? And we talk about this a lot. And I know that this was an area that I struggled with in the beginning of my business, because I was trying to figure out, trying to help everybody. It's kind of in that realm of trying to help everybody. You're throwing spaghetti at the wall, instead of honing in on your brand, your niche, your market, and knowing that, there is, whoever your tribe is, they need support, they need accountability, they need help, they need this business opportunity, these programs. And instead of throwing spaghetti at the wall to everyone, really finding out what is your thing, who are you, and why would people be attracted to you? Because they can just go to the Beachbody website, right, and get the program, but why would they come to you instead? Because we do know that the success comes from the accountability with us, right? So whatever your thing is, do more of that, right? And so even when I remind myself of that, I remember that, and I gotta exit this full screen because I'm sitting here talking to a blank screen, and I want to talk to you guys. Do more of my thing. So what is your specific niche? What is it that you're good at? Some people really focus more on nutrition or love cooking and love cooking healthy foods, and that's more of their thing, right? Or for me, I feel like it's more fitness, or it's more of being a teacher and helping to serve others. I would say my thing, if you know me or start to get to know me, my thing is definitely spirituality and fighting the disease of addiction and alcoholism. And so I feel like that for me is where I'm fueled, where my passion is for the people that I want to help and want to connect with. That's definitely my thing that separates me from another Beachbody coach. And I love this reminder too. What leads to initial success is not sufficient for long-term success, because it's true. And I've experienced this in my 3 years of doing this, is that what was successful 3 years ago is not necessarily working today. And it's a good reminder to not get, caught up in oh, this isn't working anymore. I can't do this, because a lot of this business for me and for most is lack of belief or lack of, trust in the process. And, he talks about high performance people and the long-term success is really just being able to continue what you're doing for longer than the person that quits, and, an example of that is maybe what was working in social media before is not working today. And it's going to constantly change. And we have to be willing to grow and change with that time, and not stay stuck, but kind of be ahead of that change too, and be open to learning those new things. I remember when I first started learning Hootsuite and Buffer, which are schedulers that we use for Facebook to help with us on our time. So we can schedule out, our 5-day post or 21-day group post all in a matter of an hour for an entire 21 day. It's crazy for me to think that in the first entire year, I think, of my business, I used to schedule my post as it went. I did not use a scheduler. And there's no way I could do that in my business today. There's too many other things that I need to do to grow my business to do that. And I can't even imagine. I can't believe that I did that. And I remember having to learn Hootsuite and Buffer. I was literally in tears because technology just completely paralyzes me. Learning something new in technology paralyzes me. And I have this I just remember crying in the beginning. And I can't imagine my life today without it. It's like just taking that 5 minutes to learn it, taking that hour to study it. The next thing up, which I can tell you guys is going to be our next team call, it's going to be like pages, and then it's going to be boosting and doing ads, because we're going to be going into the UK. And so that's also another area that really scares me and terrifies me. But knowing that it scares me, what I know today doing this business is that that's what I need to be working on. That's the area that I need to grow. That's what that reminds me of, and that I need to continue to grow in those areas in order to have a successful business. So I love these little, bullet points too. It's like, just start, right? We say the same things to our challengers. All you need to do is start. Press play, just start today. It doesn't have to look perfectly, but work hard at it, right? Focus on your strengths. So, whatever your strengths may be. And I think of challengers, like highlight your challenger's strengths. Like, are there strengths checking in every night, even if it doesn't look perfect? Like, that's a huge step if somebody can go from not having any accountability to being consistent checking in every night, even if it doesn't look perfect. Or maybe they're great with nutrition, but they can't get that workout in. Highlight and focus on their strengths, and then continue to practice it a lot. Be grateful. I think that's amazing that he has that in there, because I can tell you too, in my personal life, having gratitude has definitely elevated my life. And then just sticking to it, right? Sticking to that plan, and never quitting and giving up. Okay, that didn't work. Let me think. High performance is succeeding beyond the norms over time consistently. So that's what I was saying before, is kind of surpassing the normal people, where most people are going to stop. Consistently, the second year of my business, when I actually decided to work the business, this was like the word that I heard time and time again, was consistency, which was awesome, because that was an area in my life that needed to grow, that needed to change. And so I love that, I love how this business is constantly like that balance of like helping me in my areas of life and my character defects or my weaknesses. This business will totally highlight that, and I get to work on it, and that's consistency. And so, showing up consistently over time is how you're successful in this business. And then these are the things he said it should feel like. It should feel like you're fully engaged. It should feel joyful, and it should bring confidence. And that comes from giving your absolute best consistently over the long term, right? We know that we don't start with confidence. It says down here, confidence comes from competence. And that's just a matter of continuing to do it consistently. Nobody starts this business with confidence. Amen, if you have it from the get-go. I didn't. I had I was skeptical it could work. I was struggling with that belief. Though I may appear or look confident, certainly didn't necessarily have that on the inside. So the more you do it, like even videos like this, video chats. I mean, I was I remember hopping onto my first Zoom call with Megan during new coach training. And this was so weird and video, like it's the first time outside of Beachbody, I don't know how many people have done video chat, video calls or nonetheless led a call. It just is a matter of doing it. And that's how you gain the confidence. And he emphasized bringing the joy. It's required. You can't do this business and not bring the joy. Not sure how to go to the next slide easily here. I forget how to do that. And nope. I need to go back here. Okay. High performers are, so these are the people that are the higher performers in any business, outside of coaching, obviously, this is what he trains people on. They're more successful than their peers, which obviously that's high performers, but yet they're less stressed. And I thought that was interesting. They're more confident, which we just talked about. They're uniquely productive, and we're going to talk about this more. Mastered prolific quality output. So this is going to come a little bit more in detail. They work passionately. That's the joy that he's talking about, regardless of traditional rewards. And I think that's important for us to all remember. And hopefully, if we're all in this for the right reasons, we're doing it because it's a lifestyle that we sort of love and respect and want long-term, and that we want to serve others to have them find success, So the traditional rewards as far as like compensation or, maybe growth in the business and the corporate world and things like that, that sort of takes time to get to in this business. So if you're looking to be rewarded instantly, like instant gratification, I would say that this is probably the wrong business for you. You probably know, if you have any experience with the programs, that it's not the first week that you're like, amen, I've got results, I'm going to keep going. It's usually like, this is weird, my body's adjusting, I feel like I'm not getting results. And we just continue to tell our challengers, like, stick with it. It's finishing that program. Right? It's doing that program from start to finish. That's where you're going to get the reward. High performers are admired and adaptive leaders. And that's something that as coaches, we definitely need to be adaptive to change. Happier and healthier. And I love how he mentioned this, like high performers, the top 15% of them work out 5 times a week. So we're all set there because that's our job. And they feel appreciated, that their work makes a difference. And I think that we are all good there, and we hopefully feel appreciated when we help somebody change their lifestyle or hit that, weight goal or whatever they might be looking for. And I also what I love about our business is that we do all recognize each other, and hopefully, I certainly feel appreciated in the work that I do as a coach. What's required to be of service here, and how can I grow into that or lead others to deliver service? Just keeping in mind what is required, like what is it that I have to do to help others? And for me, this reminds me, like, I just have to show up and take care of myself. Like, first and foremost, leading by example, being proof the product works, getting up and doing my workout, drinking my shake, eating healthy, and sharing it with other people. That's how I can be of service. Even more so than inviting people. I think just showing it on a daily basis. And then obviously is how can I grow would be inviting others, right? And then leading others to deliver service is just simply teaching what it is that we do. And we have, those training resources. Follow your mission, which is what we call our why. And I love this statement: never ask your mission to bow down to your limited beliefs or strengths that still need to be developed. So whatever your crazy why is for doing this business, whatever that, ideal dream world, whatever it is that whatever it is that you want out of life. I mean, I truly believe that this business is an opportunity to get there, more so than any job or field that I've ever been in. Is if you got to create your life by design, what would that look like? And make sure that it's clear for you. The why, I think, has to be also like some like gut wrenching, painful enough to make you kind of continue to do this every day. But I know for me, and I love the reminder of like, you can absolutely have that life by design. And it's like, don't let the lack of belief of I can't, or it's not for me, or she can, or he can, but I can't, or, or your lack of strength. Like for me, technology, right, is like an area that I don't have a strength in, but that can be developed. And with personal development, any of those lack of beliefs or training, things that we need to learn to be successful, those can all be developed. So never asking your why to bow down. Habits that stretch you deliberately challenge you, right? So, the habits that are hard, right? Like for me, not hitting snooze, that is challenging every single day. Well, it's deliberate, right? It's like not easy. And that's the area that I want to grow long-term, right? That I want to, that means that and this is going to actually come up later too, is just reminding ourselves of that why, when the things that are hard to do, we're going to continue to do, because we want to be that example to others too, if we want to change our life. Right. So, it's going to be, these 6 habits are going to challenge you. And then just asking yourself, can you train it? And can everyone do this? And for our line of business, I think it's absolutely easy to say yes on both of those. With our training system, it's like, simple, easy to follow, just like our recipes and just like our fitness programs are for our challengers. Like it's that easy for coaches. Like, here's your workout plan, here's your calendar, it's literally paint by numbers. Can everyone do it? Okay, so now we're going to get into those 6 habits. And the first 3 are all personal habits. So the first one is seeking clarity. So being teachable is so important. Every successful coach has to be teachable, has to be unafraid to ask questions and unafraid to accept feedback. And honestly, if you have those 2 qualities and you're willing to do those 2 things, then it's easy to work with you and easy to, have you as part of a team and eventually have you be able to build a team. Having real clarity on who I am. And I think also your why statement comes in with that. But what I want to do right now is the little activity that he had us do at the training, which was, I want you guys to write down 3 words right now that describe you. Like the first 3 words that come to your mind. And I'm sure they probably will probably will connect with your brand, your niche, your tribe, maybe, your avatar, right? The person that you're speaking to and trying to help. The first 3 words that come to your mind. I can give you an example of mine. And he actually had us, I won't have you guys do this, but he literally had us like stand up and on the count of 3 scream these words out loud, which is a little terrifying, even if like 100 people are doing it at the same time as you. But I think it's just like to give you that energy and belief of like, this is who I am. And it was interesting that I wasn't like loud and abruptly like confident with saying these things. But my 3 words, for example, were adventurous, courageous, and serving. Those were my 3 words. And then he had us rate ourselves 1 through 10 on those words. So 1 being really low and 10 being the best. So like adventurous, 0 to 10, like 10, how, like I'm being crazy adventurous. I'm not saying no to anything. I'm being a huge risk taker. Anytime somebody asks me to do something adventurous, I'm like gung-ho, yes. And I'm, experiencing life to the fullest. For me, that's adventurous. So giving yourself now that score 1 through 10, honestly. And I was really surprised, but as for courageous, and I think especially when it comes to my business, I ranked myself as low as a 3. And it was kind of eye-opening for me, just to be honest with how courageous am I being when it comes to inviting people, when it comes to sharing this business opportunity, when it comes to sharing with people openly and honestly what I'm doing. It blows my mind that I wore my Diamond Coach sweatshirt to a conference 2 weekends ago. And somebody came up to me and they said, "Oh, what are you a coach for?" I said, oh, personal health and fitness coach. Oh, are you like with like a company or something? And I was like, no, just personal health and fitness. Cause I'm like afraid to say the Beachbody name. Like still 3 years into the business. Like it blows my mind that I can't just, I don't know why, because I we always talk about like not being a Beachbody coach and not blasting that on social media type thing and like just being our own identity. And so like, I just want to be a health and fitness coach, but I'm using Beachbody tools. So like, why didn't I just say that when like she literally asked me that question? So clearly I'm not being courageous if I'm being honest with myself. And then he suggested as an activity to set an alarm on your phone 3 times a day. 3 times a day to remind you of those words. So, for example, like 3, I guess, I wrote down like for me 3 sort of influential times, where I can like remind myself of my why or remind myself of who I am, what are those words that truly describe me? What do I want to be? If I'm putting myself as courageous and giving myself a 3, perhaps I need to grow in that area. So maybe I need to remind myself on a daily basis, like that affirmation, I am courageous. And so I put the times for me were like 5:30 a.m., like my wake up call. I want to wake up and I want to, my third word was serving. Maybe at 5:30 a.m., I want to give myself that affirmation of I am of service today. And then I put 3 p.m. as my second time because I know that the kind of like, that's the time where you're like, oh, I might need a coffee. I need that pick me up in the middle of my day. So it's kind of like, I need that reminder. So maybe at 3 p.m., I remind myself I am adventurous. And then I put it 7 p.m. at night because that's usually our team calls, or it's a time where I can plug in for another hour before the end of the night. I can give myself that reboost of energy and try and plug in for an hour before I get ready for bed. And then I can maybe message myself that I am courageous, and I can, post a call to action post at that time that's going to be seen by a lot of people. And I can reach out to people and be courageous with that at 7 p.m. So I've got those are my times that I feel would influence me the most. Okay. And then the second thing is generating energy. And I will tell you, by this point at the summit conference, you needed to re-energize yourself because we were exhausted. We had just listened to him for over an hour and like plenty of other speakers, and it was the afternoon and the second day, and it's a long time. And we were sitting there for a while, and it was amazing how he just had to stand up and gain more energy just by, we can do that with our minds. We can, stand tall and just inhale and exhale and breathe in gratitude and exhale stress. And, just being really is kind of just mind focused meditation for a quick time and getting that breath going. And resetting your intention. So things like if you're doing something on your computer, you're doing a certain activity, and then you know that you need to take a phone call for a challenger, or maybe it's a coach call, or maybe it's a team call or something like this. It's like just taking that 2 minutes to kind of inhale positivity, exhale that stress, and reset your intention. Like, what is it that I want to accomplish? Like for this team call, I want to be able to give you guys the best that I can, the content that he shared with me, and just kind of resetting that intention, taking those 2 minutes. And then, and Shalene has always taught us he talks about taking that 5-minute thoughtful, re-energizing break. And Shalene always says, every 45 minutes, you should get up and take that break. So even in your power hour, if not at the 45-minute break, definitely at the 60-minute break, you get up from the computer and you take 5, even to 15 minutes, re-energize yourself, give yourself a brain break, a mindless activity to do, just shift, refocus your energy, your breath, your intention, and then you're going to be so much more productive. And I needed that reminder again today, because sometimes I get sucked into like a 90-minute or 2-hour power hour, and it's never as efficient as when I do the 60-minute one with my timer. The third thing is raising necessity, more conscientiously and consistently. And we talked about this, that why. And early on in our coaching, it used to always be like, does your why make you cry? Like, is it for your family? Is it for your daughter? Is it for college education and funds? Is it, to buy a house? Is it to get married someday? Is it, why is it that you need, the income? Why is it that you need to serve others? I feel like my purpose is to serve others, and this is the opportunity in the business to do it in, and am I being of service today? And just making that why super, super important, raising that necessity. Reminding myself every day why I must do this well. I like this too, this thought of who needs me to be on my A game today or right now. So it's not all about me, but it's like, who am I going to be of service to? Who needs me on my A game today when I don't feel like doing it? Who am I not helping when I just don't show up for work that day? And he suggests saying that 5 times a day. And do not back away from demanding the best from myself every single day. I know that that's kind of like who I am as a person. Like, that speaks to me, because I want to be the best version of myself. So, I am sad when I think of my old self and think of myself in my 20s in New York City and spending hours upon hours depressed on my couch watching TV, like hours of wasted time. It's sad, and I can't do that anymore. I get sucked in for like 30 minutes, and sometimes, and I feel depressed like immediately, and I'm like, I want to be productive. I want to be my best self, but I like that, not backing away from demanding this of myself every day. And I still struggle with this sometimes, because I am really working on that balance in my life, and giving myself opportunity to rest when I need it, because I do go a lot, go. So I think it's a fine line of finding that balance. And sometimes I think demanding the best from myself is giving myself rest. But really just being honest about that. What was I going to say? I had another thought, reminding myself every day, I must do this well. I do think, I'm not sure what I was going to say, but I do think that I haven't yet, which I said I would do when I got back from Summit, was that I would place my why in an important place that I would see it every day. So I think that I need that, especially when it's hard for me to get out of bed. So I think, like I said, this is a great reminder for me today. I'm going to set those 3 alarms on my phone, and remind myself of those 3 words, of those affirmations of who I want to be. And I'm going to write my why on a piece of paper or 2 and place it around my house, to remind myself of my purpose and why I'm here, and to demand the best of myself every day. So now we're going into the last 4 of the 6 habits, and these are all social habits. And the 4th one is increasing productivity. And this is kind of what we alluded to in the beginning of that, highly efficient. And I like this, like knowing your blockbuster. What am I best at? And we talked about that too. We touched on that in the beginning, finding what your strengths are and just do it well. Do that one thing well. It's kind of like, you can't master 6 pieces of social media, and I tried, even with an assistant, to be on Facebook, to be on Instagram, to be on Twitter, to be on Snapchat, to have a like page, and I can't do it all well. So I'm trying to master Facebook, and I want to get into my like page and master that. If you do Instagram, do it really well. What matters most, and do that well. And for me, that's those vital behaviors, right? It's being proof the product works. It's showing up every day. It's sharing it on social media. It's doing it consistently, and it's inviting, and doing that personal development and growing. So we know that those 4 vital behaviors, the 4th being recognition, are what matters most. So we need to do those 4 things well every day, and we can be successful. So more focus on fewer things. Don't get distracted. And like we said, every 45 minutes, get up and recharge and re-energize myself. I like his quote here: the problem with being good is you don't know how great you can be. And I think I sat in that for a while. especially when I think of my old self in New York City. I was a good dancer. I was a good singer. I was good at going to auditions, but I was never great at any of it. And I didn't have the support and accountability. And I think that held me back, So it's interesting. I think it's where our weaknesses is where we're forced to grow in this business. And that's what I love, because that's where it shows us that we can actually be great if we continue to work on those areas too. The fifth one is developing influence. And so this is where we really, are obviously all of these, high performance activities are for leaders, but this is where it's really now getting into where you start to build your team and, building belief in your team and to think like this and to be a high performer, teaching them how to be successful. And a lot of it's going to be in personal development and challenge people to rise up. And I've started to do this more too, reaching out to my challengers that haven't found success yet and like calling them out on it, like, why haven't you reached your goals that you talked to me about a year and a half ago? What are you going to do to change it? And when you're ready, I'm not going to start chasing you. I'm going to give you space until you're ready, just challenging people. And I think that goes for coaches too. It's like, here's what you need to do. And you have to let them show up. You have to let them do the work. A lot of times I was always like, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? But I will say it is, feels much greater when people do come to you and say, I'm ready. So if you just keep showing up and leading by example, they will come when they're ready. And probably just means you need to talk to more people if they're not saying I'm ready yet. And then the last thing is demonstrating courage, which is kind of interesting considering I gave myself a 3 on courage. And I think this is really important too, like asking yourself, do my family and friends truly know what I think, want, and need? Does your significant other really know what you want and what you want out of this business or what you want to achieve with your fitness and health? And are they supportive of you? And not being afraid, right? Being courageous to share that. And I also think that jumps into social media. Are we truly sharing with people openly and honestly, right? About what it is we want? And I can tell myself no. So I've got some areas to grow. So let's rate ourselves on those personal habits. 1, seeking clarity. Like, where are you at 1 through 10? 10 being like, it's super clear why I'm doing this, what it is that I want. I've got my clarity statement printed up in my house. I see it every day. I can recite it. I share it with people. How about with generating energy? When you are tired, and are you showing up for work? Do you have healthy practices of morning meditation, or maybe your miracle morning? Or are you taking those brain breaks when you need it? And then raising the necessity. And again, that kind of comes back to your why too, right? Raising that necessity for being successful. That was actually what I was going to share. I was thinking of, for example, my necessity has completely raised itself. And I don't believe that my actions are matching this. And I think I have to write it. I have to see it every day to be reminded that I don't have a job in a year. So my necessity is pretty high. Like, I need to replace my full-time income this year, and I might not have health benefits. So am I showing up every day with that necessity? And, just ask you guys to relate that to your, to where you're at. The last 4 are social habits, increasing productivity. Are you super effective with your productivity? Are you consistent with your power hour? Do you set your timers? Are you efficient with getting your 15 minutes of PD done, getting your workouts done? Are you productive with writing your task list, your to-do list every day? Are you starting to develop influence? Are people asking you what you're doing? Are you sharing what you're doing? Are you leading by example on social media and on your team as you start to build your team? And are you demonstrating courage? And I would say a lot of it comes down to inviting people, sharing with people what you're doing, not being afraid to share that you have a solution for them, and sharing that on social media as well. And what did you rate yourself 1 through 10? And I would love, with the rest of this time, we have a couple minutes left with you guys that are on, so we don't go over, but I would love to hear from you guys if you want to share your 3 words that describe you, and maybe a couple areas that you rated yourself, that maybe one area that you rated that you feel like you're doing really well in, and one area that you rated that you would like to grow in. Lauren, would you like to go first?
Yeah, this was really interesting and helpful. I think I rated myself lower than I thought I would initially, but I think it's just because I want to get better. And so I think we're harder on ourselves maybe. My 3 words, I chose outdoorsy, just because I like to be outside as much as possible. And I feel like that comes through in my social media and just my daily life. Risk taker, that's something I probably wouldn't necessarily have said before, but I think the last 6 months since I've jumped on board this, I've done more things in the last 6 months that I really never thought that I would do. So I really want to focus on that because it really feels good and it makes me want to do more. And I think that's more of who I am. And then just perseverance, sticking to things, work, I almost said hard worker, but I think more importantly to me is just to see things through. And then in terms of just rating some of the habits, one of the higher ones, I thought I've really improved with my increasing of productivity. While I'm not.
1 second, Lauren, can you hear me? Just because I think we are going to get cut off.
Okay,
so
sorry.
Let me just end the call. But you guys, will you click back on the same link so we can have time, 5 minutes to do this? I'd love to do this.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to close out the call. I'm going to end it now, and we'll share with each other in our team page some of these activities, and you guys will hop back on this call.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.